Welcome to Astro Morning Tea at ICRAR. I'm Luke.
And I'm Pikky.
As you've probably noticed, Greg isn't with us this week. He's off gallivanting around the world to a big international conference of astronomers in Vienna. So we are luckily joined by Pikky this week, who's going to tell us all about the science goings-on for this week. So Pikky, what are we talking about?
So unfortunately, there's bad news. We're not as special as we thought we were. There's been
I beg your pardon. I am.
Oh, well. So recent research that was displayed at one of the conferences, they say that the composition of Earth is very similar to composition of 18 other planetary systems that they found. So that means they found calcium, magnesium, and maybe silicon as well.
So we're boring. We're
yes.
very boring.
Yeah, we're not.
Same as everywhere.
Yes, we're not special place on Earth.
I feel a bit sad. I know. It's very sad. So I saw this story, and it's really cool about the way that they're actually detecting this stuff, right? Because they've come up with this new way of detecting the dust disks around white dwarf stars.
Yeah.
So white dwarf stars are these things that when a sun blows up and a star blows up and it actually dissipates all of its outer layers, you're left with this really hot, dense white dwarf star in the center. Mm-hmm. And what they can do is they can measure the debris disk of stuff that's going around a white dwarf star, measure the composition of that, and that's what's left over from a planetary system that used to exist. So it's a really neat, cool way, right, of detecting this stuff.
Yeah, normal stars usually drain out all the electromagnetic signals which come from these planets, but white dwarf has a typical spectrum that we see. So then we can easily detect if there's another planetary system going around because they show different signals then. It's very cool.
Cool, yeah, it's a very new technique. So what else was in the news this week?
Something really controversial again. So apparently...
You're full of controversy. Greg comes here, he's just like, no, turn the handle, and you're like, no, I'm stamping my mark on this.
Yeah. I have a special news feed for just controversial stories.
Yeah.
So this one here says that Russia has actually launched a space weapon, maybe? So there's a satellite...
Do we have to start worrying?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's targeting Perth. Perth's all right. We just stay out of it. We're okay. Yeah, we don't really bother with people too much. We don't cause trouble.
No, maybe in our own southern hemisphere bubble. We're fine. So yeah, they found a satellite doing the rounds of Earth, and apparently it's not behaving like any satellite should behave. It's super suspicious, and nobody knows what.
Does this have anything to do with the Space Force, the American Space Force? They're going to send troops up there, right, to sort it out.
Taking wars to new heights, literally. And yeah, so US says that Russia said that they have something called as the space inspection apparatus. That's all they say. So they don't say anything else.
Investigating space. Yeah.
And they have
by looking down, probably.
Yeah. And they've been trying to make missiles which they can destroy other satellites. Mm-hmm. And so this just fits right into the fact that maybe they're actually making a new space weapon.
Cool. So moving swiftly on to our question of the week this week. So this week our question comes from Lottie, and Lottie has asked, what happens when the sun dies? So this week we're going to have the answer from Dilpreet, who's going to tell us all about it.
Stars born, they live and die, and so our sun. Sun is shining by burning hydrogen into helium through nuclear fusion reaction. However, there is only a finite amount of hydrogen in sun, and with time, as more helium builds up, the core of the sun will shrink, and this will accelerate the nuclear reaction. So roughly in about 4 billion years from now, sun will shine 40% more bright, and this will melt all our polar ice, our oceans will boil off, and there will be no atmosphere. So in short, our Earth will become a lifeless, dry planet. But this will not stop there. Once the sun burns out all of its hydrogen, the core will collapse and the outer layers of sun start expanding. And that will eat all the inner planets, maybe including Earth. And then sun will start pulsating, and with each pulse, it starts shedding its material off. And then what will eventually left is a cooler, dense core, and sun will spend the rest of its life as a white dwarf.
Thanks, Dilpreet, for your answer. And now you're going to tell us about a random fact?
Yeah, I'm gonna shock you with a random fact.
Let's bring it on.
Okay, so, Pikky, do lemmings commit suicide?
What do those poor things have to die for? No. Why are
they get sad with their lives, and they've decided that it's too much. So if anyone doesn't know, a lemming is a small rodent-like creature that lives in Canada, in the wilds. And basically, people have thought for a very long time, or it's a common misconception, actually, that lemmings commit suicide. There was a famous computer game when I was a kid where lemmings were trying to commit suicide and you had to stop them and save them. Yeah, it's a very famous game. But no, this myth was actually perpetuated because there was a film made by Disney in 1958, I think it was.
Okay.
a documentary about the wilds of Canada.
Oh.
And what they did is they wanted to film lemmings in their natural habitat. They actually took a lot of tame lemmings with them. So they took a few dozen of them, and they wanted to film it like there was hundreds of thousands of lemmings. They actually made like a big turntable that span round, and they put the lemmings on it and made them run round, and then filmed them really close up and pretended there was thousands of them.
Okay.
Then they actually filmed them being flung off a cliff into a river.
Did they do the flinging?
They did the flinging, and then filmed the lemmings in the river drowning.
Oh my God.
Now, this was a slightly different time when it was okay to do things like this, and people didn't worry about it too much. I don't think you get away with it now. I mean, David Attenborough's flinging rodents into rivers. But the reason was they actually genuinely believed that lemmings committed suicide by jumping off cliffs into the sea at that time. Now, the reason was because lemmings go through these weird population booms and busts where they become loads of them, and then they die out because of lack of resources, and they go to almost extinction, and they come back. And when they come back, they do these sort of mass expansions where loads of them move out into new territory and find new habitats. When they do this, they actually can cross rivers, and they're actually pretty good swimmers.
Oh.
But when they go through these big periods where loads of them turn up, a lot of them can actually die by trying to swim across rivers that are too large for them. Oh, no. They then get washed into the sea, and then over a period of time get washed up on beaches.
So they are committing suicide.
So people saw that there was lots of them on beaches, decided that they'd committed suicide, when really it was just a consequence of them trying to move out and getting trapped in rivers. But for about 50 years, people genuinely, the misconception, generally believed that lemmings committed suicide. And there's there's been cartoons written about it and comic books and things, but actually they don't do it at all. No. But it wasn't this Disney video that did it first. About 4 years before that, there was a book written or an article that basically said that they committed suicide as well. But it became popularized by Disney. So lemmings do not commit suicide, whatever you may have heard.
Poor things. So there's a pied piper who just tried to make them cross the river?
Yes.
And then they all just drowned? That's super sad.
Yeah, I know.
That's so sad.
Sad if you like rodents.
Oh.
Well, some people don't like rodents, but lemmings are nice. They're cute. They're lovely.
Tiny?
Tiny,
okay.
Little small things.
That's
They're fine. Tiny, giant rodents,
no,
not so good.
Not kangaroos, no.
Did you just describe kangaroos as giant rodents? I have the Australian police banging down the door. So as Greg would say, on that bombshell, that's the end of Astro Morning Tea this week. Tune in next week for some more science news stories.